Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Versus. Today we're going to be talking about physical versus digital media, a topic often beaten to death, especially over the years since the advent of the internet. So, to begin, physical media has been around basically since the dawn of man, be it through cave paintings, drawings, and other various forms of art, including books. And in contrast, digital media has just recently hit its stride, especially since the turn of the century. There are a lot of things to consider when thinking about this vast topic of information, because while physical has more of an authentic feel to it, it leaves you with that blank, empty space in your wallet like that. You think, why don't I have any money anymore? And speaking of space, it takes up space. It takes up a lot of space. So, it has that more of an authentic feel to it, but, there's also a lot of drawbacks to it as well. While digital, well, it's most of the time free, except for services like iTunes, On Demand, and Netflix. But at the same time, you're getting that more of an informal, impromptu kind of, artificial feel to it. But hey, if you don't care about that, then that's the way to go for you, I guess. So, little history lesson. Sometime in the 1960s, I believe it was 65, the cassette tape player was invented and drastically changed pretty much how music itself was listened to. So people could now trade and copy tapes without having to go and buy them. And of course, the technology couldn't prevent the degradation of the film or the tape at the time. So the quality of the tape wasn't as good. And the more you copied it, the worse it got. So, there really wasn't anything they could do at the time until, of course, in 1982, the CD player and the CD was invented. And the music industry really didn't care up until this point, but after that, they realized, hey, they can copy it without quality loss. We're going to lose so much profit off of this. And, later when DVDs and Laserdiscs and such came along, for movies, they did the same thing, because no quality was being lost. And, they launched a massive, massive campaign for anti-piracy, including the infamous Don't Copy That Floppy, which was basically an ad from the early 90s deterring people from copying their games via 3.5-inch floppy disks. Yeah, remember those? So, for me, it depends on what kind of media we're talking about. Some forms of media I would rather have physical, such as games, and, I'm a little iffy on music albums, and, a little bit on video games, because for nostalgic purposes, I do like having emulators, but at the same time, for those systems that I do have, such as PS3, 360, PS2, and NES, I'm getting that hopefully tomorrow, because as I said in my ratings video, the NES died. I'm probably gonna have like a freaking funeral for it. I've had that thing since I was like 8, but my family's had it since it came out in 85, so it's been in the family for 27 years. Rest in peace. Anyways, NES. That's one of those things where I would rather have the controller in my hand, buy the game, because, for example, Super Mario Bros. 3 feels completely different on the NES versus with a keyboard and mouse. So, some of those games I would rather have, a physical copy of versus playing them on a computer screen. It just feels different. I don't know. Like I said, you're getting that authentic feel to it for the controller. Same with books. I mean, I'd rather turn a page, and actually be able to lay down, even if it's like under candlelight, if we don't have any power or anything, I would rather just have the book in my hand and be reading it than have to, turn on, open up a Word document or an ebook or whatever it is and just read it from there. But, that's just my personal opinion. So, nothing compares to the feeling of actually having it in your possession, because, again, it's like an authentic feeling. I know I've brought that up a lot, but that's basically one of my main points, and one of the main, key selling points of physical copies, basically. So, basically, for video games, emulators are fine and dandy for discovering games, but, at the same time, it's not really authentic. And, music is another area where I'm kind of in the middle at, because I do love adding classic albums to my shelf, but the sad thing is, after I rip them to my computer, the disc really doesn't get any more use. I just kind of put it on my shelf until I kind of want to go, the old school way or whatever of listening to the album, pull it out and put it in my CD player over there, my little stereo, and just blast the music. But even then, it's not as good a quality as my computer speakers, so I tend to just, put my list on shuffle or just click on a song. So, That's another thing. That being said, if my computer crashed, though, all of my digital information, all of my songs, they would be lost. And honestly, it would be a very, very tedious and annoying, cumbersome process if I had to pick out each and every one of my physical discs here and put them into Windows Media Player again to sync to my MP3 player. That would be a very cumbersome process. And, thanks to torrents, that I don't have to do that. That's where they come in handy, basically, in my opinion. So, things that I would like completely digital: encyclopedias, physical dictionaries, encyclopedias. It's so much easier to type in the name of whatever you want to search versus thumbing through an encyclopedia that may or may not be outdated and looking for it yourself. And you don't even know if what you're looking for is even in there. It's just easier just to type it in on the internet. So those are kind of things, it's much easier just to type it, use Wikipedia, use like Mayo Clinic or EBSCOhost if you're doing like research thing for college. I know some people actually require you to have articles, but you can use the internet for that too. EBSCOhost is an article site, so yeah, stuff like that versus thumbing into encyclopedias. It's just a cumbersome, tedious process. So things like movies, video games, and albums, stuff like that, I'd rather have like the physical copy of, especially if it's a really good movie, especially if it's a really good album. But like I said, research-based things, research-based material, I would rather just have online because it's more reliable and it would probably be more up-to-date and current with everything that's going on. But, that being said, back to movies. Movies are one of those things where I'm just kind of in the middle on, so, me personally, because I wouldn't mind just watching a movie on my computer screen. I don't really need to have, like, the cover of it, because really when you get a physical movie, all you're getting is the cover, the case, a little summary on the back. It's kind of like a book, but at the same time, all you're getting is that and the disc. And inside the little instruction manual, all it has is a list of special features, most of the time. If it's a collector's edition, then I would probably, disagree with that and say, like I have The Hobbit on Blu-ray. That one's really good. Anyways, enough rambling. Music. I wouldn't have discovered 3/4 of the music and even movies and video games and stuff like that if not for digital media. So digital media is one of those things that really forces you and encourages you and motivates you to find new things and to say, hey, that person said this was cool. I don't have to spend $60 on this. I don't have to spend $120 on this. I can just go look it up on Google and find a link to it and see it for myself or hear it for myself, play it for myself, watch it. Thanks to things like YouTube and torrents and just all these digital media outlets, even like iTunes and stuff like that. You can get things from there if you really want to pay for it. Ugh, can't talk today. But yeah, there's outlets for everything. But in my opinion, most of the time I would kind of lean towards physical because I do like showing off my collection every now and then, as you can see from my AC/DC stuff. But at the same time, digital is always really nice and really convenient, really laid out, and just really well organized. So, it depends on what kind of media we're looking at, but yeah, that's just me. So, what do you guys think? I want to know what your guys' opinion is on various forms of media. Do you like some things digital, all things digital, some things physical, or all things physical, or a little bit of each, just like me? I want to know, so comment down below, as this Versus video, as all of my other episodes, are meant to generate some sort of discussion. So, this is Midnight Strike 3625. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this. Keep calm and rock on.